Hello everyone, myself Dr. Kirti Mathur. I am MPT Musculoskeletal, presently working as Assistant Professor, Department of Physiotherapy, Dolphin PG Institute of Biomedical and Natural Sciences. Today I am going to discuss a very interesting topic that is becoming very popular these days, and it's TKR or total knee replacement. As it's very clear from its name that total knee replacement is a surgical procedure whereby the diseased knee joint is replaced with the artificial material, and the knee is a hinge joint that provides motion at the point where the thigh meets the lower leg. Without knee movement we are not able to walk, not able to stand up, sit, or simple doing our daily routine activities. So what happens when we do a total knee replacement? This you can see in this picture. This is the picture after the complete knee replacement, and what are those components which are replaced. And here you can see this is the metallic surface, this is a metal, this is again a metal surface, and these are the screws. So this is total, means we have replaced the tibial part, femoral part, and the patellar part. So we have completely replaced the damaged knee. The posterior cruciate ligament is a tissue that normally stabilizes each side of the knee joint so that lower leg cannot slide backward in relation to thigh bone. So in total knee replacement surgery, this ligament is either retained, sacrificed, or substituted by a polyethylene post. So depending on the presence or absence or the substitution of this PCL or the posterior cruciate ligament, different types of total knee replacements are available, and these are categorized mechanically by depending on the stability as non-constrained, semi-constrained, or third part is constrained or hinged. In most patients undergoing TKR, the anterior cruciate ligament or ACL is no longer competent, and during surgery it is removed. But the posterior or cruciate ligament PCL is frequently competent and may be retained. Because of the presence of PCL, movement of our leg bone is controlled at the thigh bone. So first we'll be discussing the non-constrained type, and it is called as also known as cruciate retaining prosthesis. So it is very clear that in this surgical procedure PCL is retained. So these are designed to use the PCL and referred to as PCL sparing prosthesis. So they are called as PCL sparing, cruciate retaining, or non-constrained type of prosthesis. And these are highly successful and the most common type because PCL, the natural structure is left which is protecting the movement at the joint, and the components are not linked and rely on the patient's own ligaments and muscles for stability. The femoral and tibial components are independent of each other, and a groove is present in the posterior aspect of the tibial prosthesis for the native PCL. Means the femoral part and the tibial part are independent of each other, but there is a groove, a space is provided for retaining the PCL or the natural PCL. So in this picture we can see the non-constrained prosthesis, and these are the ideal implants, and they have got 5 degrees of freedom, and they have intact ligamentous system. So they have this femoral part and the tibial part, but posteriorly there is a groove for the positioning of the PCL. Then next comes the semi-constrained or the cruciate substituting prosthesis, and these are used when PCL retention is not possible or if the surgeon prefers to remove it and use a more stable prosthesis, and these have more inherent stability by virtue of variety of design techniques including placement of large central anterior tibial spine that articulates with a rectangular box like opening between the condyles of the femoral component, and the posterior portion of the box is formed by a transverse metal cam that prevents the posterior tibial subluxation when the knee is in extension. So in this we are substituting the PCL. In this we have This is also called as semi-constraint type, and 2 or 3 part prosthesis. This is also called as 2 or 3 part prosthesis, and metal to high density polyethylene articulation connected with locking pin or snap fit devices have built-in valgus and varus flexity for side-to-side dissipation of forces. And examples of semi-constant prostheses are Conrad, Mayo, Triaxial, Schilling, AHSC, Pritchard, Walker. These are the different names of the semi-constraint type prostheses. Now coming on to the constraint or the hinged prosthesis, these have tibial and femoral components that are linked together with a hinged mechanism, and they are used when the knee is highly unstable and the ligaments will be unable to support other types of prosthesis. So in this constrained or hinged prosthesis, we have completely removed the PCL, and this occurs in case of very unstable joints where ligaments cannot tolerate the normal natural bone or any artificial prosthesis. So this is rarely a first choice option, and constraint prostheses are reserved for severely damaged knees. Typically, they are used in elderly patients undergoing revision arthroplasty, because what happens, for example, a patient has gone through TKR at the age of 65 years, but after 10 years and the patient has reached to 75 years, and at that stage he or she is needing a revision arthroplasty. So in that case, most of the time surgeons select this constraint type arthroplasty, and due to the higher amount of mechanical stress put on the hinged prosthesis, they are not expected to last as long as other less constraint designs. So and they are usually the last option, or they are done in the revision arthroplasty, or where the joint is highly unstable. And you can see this is the constraint TKR, in which we have the femoral component and the tibial component, but no PCL substitution or PCL retention. Constraint means is the ability of a prosthesis to provide varus, valgus and flexion extension stability in the face of ligamentous laxity or bone loss. And the importance is in the setting of ligamentous laxity or severe bone loss, standard cruciate retaining or posterior stabilized implants may not provide stability. So design implication is in order of least constraint to most constraint. So least constraint is cruciate retaining, then posterior stabilized, then varus valgus constraint, and last is the rotating hinge type prosthesis. See, this is the front view of the knee replacement, total knee replacement. This is the femoral component, this is the plastic spacer and the tibial component. This you can see in the side view, and this is our patellar component. Now another classification of TKR is on the depending on the compartments. So first is the unicompartmental knee replacement. This is also called as partial knee replacement, in which only a portion of the knee is resurfaced. This procedure is an alternative to total knee replacement for patients whose disease is limited to just one area of the knee. So in only one part is affected, so we need not to completely replace whole knee. We are just replacing the part affected or the compartment affected. Because the partial knee replacement is done through a smaller incision, patients usually spend less time in the hospital and return to normal activities sooner than the total knee replacement patients. Less complicated surgery and less major surgery, so definitely a lesser hospital stay. Then we can see that our knee is divided into major compartments: medial compartment, lateral compartment and the patellofemoral compartment. So depending on the part affected, we will select the unicompartmental method. And advanced OA, this is limited to a single compartment. This may be treated with a unicompartmental knee replacement, and during this procedure the damaged compartment is replaced with metal and plastic, and healthy cartilage and bone as well as all of the ligaments are preserved. We are not removing or substituting any ligament, we are just replacing the affected compartment. Then what are the advantages of this partial knee replacement? First, this is of less incision, so quick recovery. less pain after surgery, and less blood loss, and definitely fast recovery. Then what are the disadvantages? First, slightly less predictable pain relief, means we cannot confirm that after this knee replacement, partial knee replacement surgery, patient will have much pain relief. And then second, potential need for more surgery. For example, a total knee replacement may be necessary in the future if arthritis develops in the parts of the knee that have not been replaced. So this can happen, and patient may require again different surgery, and next time patient may be needing a total knee replacement. And if your knee is damaged in all three areas, you may be a candidate for bicompartmental or total knee replacement. So this was a brief review of all different types of knee replacements depending on the PCL, retention, substitution, and depending on the compartments affected. So I hope that this lecture will help you to understand total knee replacement in a better way. Thank you so much.